The time being 6 o'clock, I'm going to call the Board of Health meeting to order. All members are present with the exception of Clay Kelly. Would everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. All right. First item on our agenda are announcements from the Health Department. This time I'm going to turn things over to Chris Schultz to make those announcements.
Okay, I just want to remind people that we have a flu clinic available. You can register online. There are links on our Facebook account and on the town website. If you're not able to manage doing it online, you can give us a call at the Health Department. We have flu shots available now. We are still waiting for the COVID boosters, which we have ordered, but they haven't arrived yet. So that, and I probably regret doing this, but I wanted to announce that the compost site will hopefully in the near future be opening a swap shop where residents can drop off stuff that's too good for the trash but not good enough to keep. The idea is it's a swap shop, so you drop stuff off and you can take stuff for free. Before we open that for the public, we would like to stock it. So I'm just putting out a call if anybody has items that they would like to get rid of. If they want to contact the Health Department, we'll take them off your hands and hopefully stock up the swap shop before we open it. And that is all I have for announcements.
All right. Any other questions by the board?
Can I say, I had a parent at Beaverbrook, she asked something about mattresses, and I said, oh, you know, you can go to the compost site, didn't even know that was a thing. Did it this weekend, and she said she had an absolutely fantastic experience and has told everybody about it.
Oh, excellent.
So.
I'd like to hear that.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right. Hearing nothing else, the first item on our agenda is a public hearing regarding the regulation restricting the sale of tobacco products and the draft regulation prohibiting smoking in workplaces and public places. That's scheduled to start at 6:05. To my surprise, we got through that in 6:02. So I'm going to go through a few things anyways to get started, and we can start that public hearing around 6:05. So with that, I need a vote to open the public hearing. If I could have a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion by Kevin to open. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Amanda's voice was louder. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is open. All right. Well, I have a few things to say first. So the time being 6:03, by vote of the board, I declare the public hearing on the regulation prohibiting smoking in workplaces and public places and the regulation of the Town of Abington Board of Health restricting the sale of tobacco products open. A few ground rules before we begin. Individuals wishing to speak this evening will be allotted 2 minutes for their comments. We ask that you please be called on to testify and that you state your name, address, and pertinent affiliation when approaching the podium to speak. If you would like a draft copy of the regulation, there are plenty up here for you to take. Any audience members that applaud, boo, or otherwise intimidate speakers will be asked to leave this public hearing in accordance with the open meeting law. The Board of Health will not be answering questions as part of the public hearing tonight, debating or devolving into sidebar conversations with those testifying. We will not be accepting repeat speakers this evening, but we do encourage you to submit further comments in writing to the board by the contact form that is on the town's website. You can send them directly to me as the chair, and I will disseminate them out to the rest of the board as well. Lastly, thank you for taking the time to come out this evening if you were going to testify and talk about the regulation tonight. It's really, really a great opportunity to get to speak with those in the town. With that, does the board have any questions or anything before we get going here? Trying to really stall to that 6:05 number, but we get to 6:04.
60 seconds.
So that being said, is there anybody that would like to speak? Yes. Please come on up and state your name, address, and any affiliation at the microphone.
Good evening. I just want to be clear, I only have 2 minutes.
Yes, please.
Okay. My name is Dave Brennan. I am a merchant here in the town of Abington. I own Abington News Convenience Store.
That's fine. Thank
Okay.
you. Yep.
Okay, I only got 2 minutes, so let me try to get through this. Just in reference to the regulations, I just have some questions and maybe some clarifications. Okay, under tobacco product flavor enhancer. The last sentence on that topic is a rolling paper with a characteristic flavor shall be considered a tobacco product flavored enhancer, which is prohibited. In my experience, I've been in business for 43 years, rolling papers are used for marijuana, period. So to prohibit a flavored rolling paper, I don't know why it would be prohibited. It's a marijuana, it's widely accepted and marketed as a marijuana rolling paper. It has been since they've made rolling papers. So I don't know why the town of Abington would prohibit it. Next question. I'm just gonna put this out there. Maximum number of tobacco product sales permits. Little confusing. I read it over several times. 29 permits, but seems a little confusing on if one is available. It says another person can apply, but then it says it reduces the numbers by 29 down. Little confusing. I'm not sure if is it 29 or is it not? So a little confusing on the wording. I'm not sure if there's some clarification needed. Prohibition of adult retail tobacco store. I have no idea why the town of Abington would prohibit an adult retail tobacco store. I have no idea why that would be prohibited. If a license is available, why wouldn't a person wanting to open up a retail cigar store? Why would the town prohibit it? I'm not getting a new license. If there's a license available, I would just simply be asking for the license that's available to open up a cigar store. So I don't know why that would specifically be prohibited. The sale of tobacco products prohibited. The word "no person" as defined herein shall possess or hold. I'm concerned about that wording. It is common for employees, including myself, to actually possess a flavored tobacco product. Even though that is prohibited, the sale is prohibited in the state of Massachusetts, but it is not prohibited to possess it. And this wording means that an employee would be prohibited. I would be held responsible if an employee had a menthol jewel in their pocketbook that worked for me, and on their break, they went outside to go do what they want to do with a menthol jewel that they bought in New Hampshire. So the word possess means I can't even have a cognac dipped cigar in my pocket in my own office, not smoking, but just possession of it. So I take issue with the word just simply possessing a flavored tobacco product. I think it's a little much. I'm not even sure if I would have the right to tell someone that they can't have something in their pocketbook. I'm not sure if I would even have the right to do that.
Mr. Brennan, your time is up, but considering there is such few people in the audience, we do have plenty of time.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Is the board
Yes.
okay with
Yes.
letting
Yeah,
you continue? Then
100%.
Thank you,
absolutely.
I
Go ahead.
very appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I think I only have one more thing. And the prohibition of the sale of blunt wraps. Why would blunt wraps be prohibited? They're for marijuana. They're widely marketed and used for people that smoke marijuana. I've been in business 43 years. I've never known a person that used a blunt wrap to smoke tobacco. So prohibiting it's just, there's millions of items that are used for marijuana, and blunt wraps are one of them. So the out-and-out prohibition of a sale of a blunt wrap doesn't really make any sense to me. And that's it. That's all I got.
Mr. Brennan, thank you, we appreciate it. And
Yeah,
I
my
think
pleasure.
when we go to discuss this, we'll be able to maybe clarify some of those things for you as well. So,
Thank you.
is there anybody else that wishes to speak on this regulation this evening, or either one of these regulations? Seeing none, I would then entertain a vote to close the public hearing this evening.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close by Kevin, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Katie, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so the public hearing is closed. So, thank you. Moving on, is a discussion and possible vote after public hearing on these regulations, of course. So to go through and actually address some of the things that were not just brought up there, but some things we looked at in the past. Our health agent and I were looking through, making sure things were set to go here, and noticed that there were further additions by the attorney that we did not notice before going up. A couple of those include training for store personnel, which was not something that this board voted to add, and the prohibition of adult-only retail tobacco stores, which is not something this board voted to add, and we currently have 4 adult-only retail stores in this town. So to whose fault that is an argument right now between me and our attorney. But what we basically will, once we clarify, I think, why those things made its way in there, want to make a decision as to whether they're staying or not. I think out of fairness, especially since we have 4 adult-only tobacco retailers, probably should not be included. And we did get a few questions this week why training was included in here as well. And the answer is we don't know. I don't know which thing made its way in here between revisions. Was it the training part?
The training and the
Yeah.
adult.
Yeah, the training, I
And-
think, was a suggestion
Yeah,
by
that's what it
council
was.
to add. The prohibition of adult stores just appeared,
Appeared between 2 drafts.
and we have no idea where that came from.
So, with that being said, we need to obviously do our homework to figure out what happened there. So I definitely want to get that clarified before we do anything in terms of action, and I judging by the head nods, I think the board would agree that that is a good thing to do. Chris, did you have anything you wanted to add pertinent to this at this point in time?
No?
Okay. Was just going to maybe answer a few of those questions too that came up, and something that we can maybe just try and get some clarity out there, just trying to find out where I did. I know one of the questions surrounding a rolling paper, when we received that in the past, if they're being sold in tobacco stores, it is us, we're operating under the assumption they're being sold for the purpose of tobacco. That is the way that we, I believe, understood this, in the context of tobacco. So we're obviously trying to limit those sales for that purpose. The other thing, and anybody feel free to jump in as I'm just going through here for
I
a
think I
moment.
can handle the 29 permits, the sunsetting.
Yeah.
So currently, we have 23 licensed vendors in the town of Abington.
25 now.
25?
Yeah,
Okay, it's
it's
gone up
changed
to-
since, yeah.
It's changed, okay. So what we've, what we determined, we actually have 29 permits is what we have. So when somebody turns in the permit, not transferring, but actually turns it in, says
That's
I'm
what I
no
was
longer
looking
doing business, then we said we would go to 28 at that point. We would sunset that permit to do tobacco sales and sunset that and make it 28. We still have a delta of 3, or 4 rather, that are available currently, and it would only be when the vendor actually turns their license in and say, I'm out of business, I'm not transferring, I'm just out of business. So it's fine.
That made sense, yeah. The other thing as well, blunt wraps are already prohibited in the town of Abington. This is not a change from 2013, so they've been prohibited for at least 10 years in this town. So that's not a new change on our part. We're just kind of continuing those things and just pretty much making updates to the 21 area of age and things of that nature. So I think those were the questions that we received, just trying to get some clarity and background. Yeah, if you want to come on up, I know we're kind of at a different point in the meeting, that's fine.
2 points. You just, over that, the blunt wrap issue,
Yes.
just kind of passed over that by saying, well, that's already been in existence for 10 years.
Right.
So be it. Why would it be so be it? 10 years ago, marijuana was illegal in Massachusetts.
Right.
Now it's explicitly legal. And marijuana paraphernalia is explicitly legal in Massachusetts. So, but you just kind of went over it like, let's keep it as a law and let's not even pay attention to it. But 10 years ago, it was illegal.
No, and I think you're misinterpreting what I was going for there, and that's all I was trying to do was say, we're not going to make any of those changes right now. It's definitely pertinent that we need to go back and make more changes, but the things that, like this, that's already in place, I don't think it's a good idea right now for us to jump and make, or we're already making a bunch of big changes to the licensing process and things. Those little things we should go back and look at, but we're trying to take it kind of piecemeal. So this is a big change that's coming through with our licensing process.
Like look at
21.
before it's finalized?
It probably won't be before it's finalized thing. It's much easier for us to change it after it's been finalized. But since we have so many things we want to look at, these are things, I don't think it's good for us to say, all right, let's prohibit blunt wraps now. Let's change the prohibition of blunt wraps now, but then we also missed the 5 other things like we just noticed we did with these things. So obviously, we're tripping up and seeing things that are getting kind of
Okay,
blurred and screwed up. So
I
that's
appreciate the board's
exactly-
time.
yeah.
Just please keep in mind that, as a business, every time that you delay something like, well, we're gonna keep it on the books for now, or we'll get to it some other day, we're in business.
Right, but at the same time, we're not changing anything, that it's status quo still, so.
Right, but the status quo can be very painful to a store owner.
Right, right.
Even though that it should be changed, it's painful. That's all I'm saying.
Right, and I understand, and I want to emphasize too that this isn't something we want to drag on. So I want to get through what the changes that need to be made now, get the new regulation in, and, my hope would be January that this thing is done and off our plate, because we've been looking at it for 18 months now.
Just one more
yep.
point to this gentleman's conversation about the 29 permits. I only read it a couple of times this afternoon, all the paragraphs with it. I just want to make sure the wording is correct, because it appears to be contradicting itself by saying there's 29 permits available, and if you give one away, like if a store should close and you give it back, is it retired and it goes from 29 to 28? But in the very next paragraph, it says you can apply for a permit that's available.
So the number of available slots decreases. So once one closes, so if we have 28,
But I understand the
yeah,
theory,
so
but I want to
the
make sure that
goal-
those paragraphs reflect that.
Okay.
Because if I'm reading this
Yeah.
as a layman, it would appear that if somebody turned in a permit or went out of business, it says I can just go in and apply.
yeah, I think it's
But
tricky
you're saying,
because,
no, that's going to be.
yeah.
Yeah, but if there's a license available, or a permit available rather, then you would be able to apply.
But how does it become available if I go out of business and I give you physically back the permit?
Because there are
I'm out of
extras right
business.
now.
So we currently have, so for instance, when we first started doing this, we had 23 vendors that were selling tobacco products and had permits. And then we've currently had 2 additional ones that have chosen to, sell tobacco products. So we had those permits available, we issued them. So
Right.
what will happen is that we set as a standard that there's 29 available in town.
Absolutely.
So once one of those 25 turn it in, then it will go down to 28. But in the interim, if somebody, we still, like, for instance, 23 permits before, we had 6 available at that point in time. So there may become a period when we do get to 26, and there's 26 vendors out there, so if somebody turns it in, then there won't be one. But we're not in that position as yet. We have a delta of 4 available at this point in time.
Okay. All right, thank you. I appreciate your clarification.
Thank you, and if anything else comes up, please don't hesitate to reach out to, because
Yeah.
these are things we
Mr.
want to
Vernon,
know.
can I ask you a question? Do you mind? Because I'm just curious. So as a businessman, I know you mentioned your concerns about the flavored wrappers as a tobacco retailer, but that most of the clientele that are coming in are buying them without tobacco. Is that correct? I'm just curious.
Well, in reference to
Flavored
Flavors.
wrapper.
Yeah,
a blunt wrap?
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I don't work the counter itself. I've just been in the business. I've had 15 stores. A blunt wrap is just a tube. It's just a tube. It's just an empty wrap.
Right. So are the customers, so I guess maybe you wouldn't know because you're not working the register. I know you just mentioned that most of those are sold for the use of marijuana.
Correct.
But you don't sell marijuana at your store. So most of the clientele is coming in, I would presume, to buy them for the marijuana that they purchased somewhere else.
Correct.
But you only sell the tobacco. So do you make a lot of sales on just the tubes?
We make a lot of sales on marijuana accessories.
Okay, that's kind of what I was
Marijuana
wondering.
accessories is a billion-dollar industry.
Yeah.
Every single convenience store in the state of Massachusetts is full of marijuana accessories.
Right. I was just wondering, like how,
So
if
in
as
other
a
words, it-
tobacco retailer, how you could be sure that no one was doing it too. I was just being nosy and curious about it.
Well, obviously tobacco and marijuana, to be honest with you, I don't smoke, nor do I use marijuana. But tobacco and marijuana are pretty interchangeable. But the market for marijuana accessories is pretty clear that people buy marijuana at marijuana stores all over the state, and they want rolling papers, they want blunt wraps, they want cones, they want water
Yeah.
pipes, they want glass pipes, they want marijuana accessories.
Yeah.
They're not buying an ounce of marijuana every day, but they're buying accessories every day.
Yeah. So I guess I just,
Yeah.
as from a nursing perspective, like anything that increases the sales of anything that would have harmful agents to your lungs makes me worried.
Marijuana use, marijuana
Yeah.
is legal.
No, I completely understand. Just like tobacco is legal.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have to be 21 to purchase all of it, so why the prohibition of any of it?
Public safety. But yes.
Okay, all right, so we're not going to do any more
Public
back and
health,
forth.
yeah.
I think we've gone there. So furthering on any discussion, I know I did a lot of talking up front. We did have Mr. Brennan come up and talk more. Is anybody, anything they want to add at this point? I know that we are going to go back and kind of do some investigating on what the heck happened between our drafts. As you can see, I'm more than happy that this happened. No, not in the slightest. So I want to get this sorted out. Any other things from the health department?
No, not on the sales.
Aaron, I was just gonna say, I don't think we're still waiting for public comment that people can write in, so we won't be making any votes specifically on this tonight. anyway.
Exactly, yeah. No action will be taken on these regulations tonight. Don't see any other discussion or comments, so with that, we can move on to the vote to approve our minutes. So we have 2 minutes available. This is from the 18th of September and October 2nd, just because we didn't have it put in the agenda properly the first time. So we're taking care of that now. With that, do I have any action on these?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes September 18th as written.
Motion to approve the minutes of September 18th is written by Kevin. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Katie. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, those are approved. Any action on the second?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from October 2nd, 2023.
Motion to approve the minutes from October 2nd by Katie. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Amanda. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, those are approved. Great. All right, the minutes are done. So last item on our agenda this evening, are correspondence. Does the board or the health department have any to share?
I'll just mention for the health department that all annual permits that are issued by the health department are due for renewal by December 1st. I sent out emails to everybody that I had an email address for, and I think we sent out some letters to others. Town bylaws require that any applications for permit renewal received after December 1st are subject to a fine that's double the fee. So we're sending out announcements now, because I don't want to have to fine anybody, is the short version of that. So any food establishments, retail food establishments, septic haulers or installers, trash haulers, body art, and tobacco, all those permits are due by December 1st.
And just to clarify with people that are renewing permits, if they have licenses that expire after December, those
Yeah.
are still valid for us in the town of Abington, correct?
Yeah, for example, for your food establishment, if you're serving and preparing food, you have to have food manager protection training and allergen training. Those certifications need to be active at the time of renewal, but let's say your certification expires in March or April, we will issue the permit and just ask you to please turn in a copy of your new certification when you get it. But if it expires on December 15th and you're applying for a January 1st permit, we're not going to approve you. So, yes,
Yes,
that's
thank
the
you.
short version of that.
I know we get a few questions, so thank you. All right, anything else? With that, that is the end of our agenda. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Kevin. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Clay.
Yep.
Any further, no? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.